A very good day to you, my dear friends, and here we are again with a new gameplay from me. Smill is also back today, and it should actually start with a fight. I wasn't so quick to start the recording, but at least the in-game recording was running. It was a real game of cat and mouse, but in the end I had the longer line. Now that I have a trophy. Never mind. Reunited with Smill, we walked around and met a young Para shortly afterwards. Just for information, Para, Bona, and Taco are not herd tolerant. But I accepted the request to tell him that. However, that was his answer, and somehow I didn't want to be rude. I even offered to change the dino so we could quest legally. And in the end, it wasn't long before we encountered other herbivores. Then the problem arose. Without hesitation or inquiry, this Pycno accused us of rule-breaking. He saw many herbis and was sure, nah, they don't just eat on the same bush. They must all be in a group. Well, apart from his stupidity, he was right that the Para and I shouldn't be in the same group. And of course, although the admins usually never come, this admin was extremely eager and went straight for it. Where were you when I was drowned due to a bug? In the end, Smile got a ticket and a verbal warning. I'm not passing judgment on the admins because they did something today, but because they don't do anything else on other days. But hey, you think it can't get any worse? Then wait and see. So we changed our dinos and actually invited the Para back. Oh, and BTW Groof, I hope you grasp a stinging nettle. Continue in the text. I was in Rainbow Hills and then brought the two of them to me via Waystone. So we quest through 2 POIs to raise this little piece of dirt, and after we've shown him all the items, protected him, and looked after him, he writes, "Don't need any more quests," and just logs out. No goodbye, no thank you, nothing. Dear, well, this too. Would you be so kind, and please go to hell? We then logged back onto our Bona and Taco and just wandered around haphazardly. But can we stop for a moment and watch this really beautiful sunrise? To make things a little more exciting, we made our way to Grand Plains. You never know what's waiting for you there. We met a cute Anno, admired nature, got bitten on the bum by a critter, and then got a trophy to take to a young dinosaur. As there was no bridge left, we jumped down. I knew my Bona would survive. I always jumped down there. But Smill and Luck just didn't really want to be on our side. We just couldn't find anyone to give the trophy to. Well, except Smill. And in the end, Smill was full grown again, and we just couldn't get rid of the trophy. Well, there's nothing we can do. So, on to a new adventure. I've decided to take all my dinos out and see where they are. Because after Grand Plains was renewed, all the dinos were randomly placed on the map. I'll start with my Carno, and that's it again. I didn't really feel like playing my Carno, and wanted to see how the Pycno plays in direct comparison. And off we go on a wild ride. Oh, nice. A few allos. As tempting as it sounds to fight against 3 full-grown allos, I think I'll give it a miss today. So, retreat. The 3 of them were definitely looking for me. Good thing I'm a master of stealth. And so, I escaped the 3 of them and followed my path into the... Okay, never mind. And I'm just standing right back where I left the allos. Only now I had no idea if they had already run past or spawned at the river again. Crashes like that can really lead to you dying, even though you've actually already mastered a situation. In the end, I can say that the Pycno would be the dino of the 2 that I would play. But everyone should decide for themselves. I won't say anything more about it now. A bit of shopping time to calm your nerves. And yes, my dear friends, Tarnished is back. Me and my little Pycno baby Tarnished started to quest. And honestly, If the people are nice and friendly, I think it's really nice to raise dino babies, but if you have sandwiches like well to whatever, it's just no fun. And unfortunately, I'm just not a good hunter. I give it everything I've got, but there's not much there. I can't even watch the gameplay anymore because I get an error message. So, I don't know, but it certainly didn't go well for me. Thanks, Yuti, for sparing me. And after I had healed up again, the next disaster struck. And unfortunately, we lost that battle too. Of course, I immediately brought Tarnished back. And so the search for food began. And so this time, we tried to hunt the arrow ourselves. But that ended in disaster again. Tarnished slipped off a stone and fell to his death. However, the arrow was kind enough to leave the body to me. Yes, I know that's not in accordance with the rules, but I don't think it's against any rules as long as it's consensual. After I had finished my pity meal, I brought Tarnished back to me. I healed up at the Waystone, and the next chase came straight at us. The two of them chased us through the savannah, all the way to Hunter Thicket, over to Snake's Gully. I had my doubts as to whether Tarnished would be able to keep up, but thank God this chase didn't mean death for us this time. And a little herbivore paradise opened up in front of us. Why can't I find places like this when I'm a Herbie, but only when I'm a threatening carny? Can we please see how mega cute they all are? What the hell? Let me spread out a picnic blanket so I can bathe in these baby dinos. For some unknown but very appreciative reason, there was a body in the nest. Tarnished quizzed in time, and it was actually really idyllic for that moment. We then made our way towards Rainbow Hills to quest there. Unfortunately, Tarnished then had to leave me. I then logged out and got my Lurdu out a day later. Unfortunately, it was on the opposite side of the savannah, so we set off on this not at all long, dangerous journey. At least we get to see the underwater worlds. Of course, something can always happen. Wow, this path is incredibly long, even in fast motion. Where did I get my patience from that day? And of course, the server had to crash again. If this reset had catapulted me back to the beginning of my journey, I could probably have gone straight to bed, so I wouldn't have had a nervous breakdown. Oh, a waterfall. Surely we can jump over that. And it was this moment she knew she f***ed up. After I had cured myself of my planned jump, I continued on my way. Finally, the promised land. And hop, off the bridge. Yes, I learnt a lot from my fall. And although there were plenty of sweet trikes waiting for me in the savannah, I decided to switch again. After a long time, I got my ramp out again. And yet, I was so distracted by a person in the chat that I hardly paid any attention to the game. At first I thought, oh, another person who's artificially upset about the admins. But it got better and better. At this point, let's remember how much she loves and respects the employees. After she behaved like a bum, she had to drop that she was streaming. But it gets a lot better. Let me just summarize for you. Luna then suggested that streamers and YouTubers should be given special rights. The issue was that someone from her group was using caps, which is forbidden. Think about what a trivial thing, and she's making such a fuss about it. In the end, she did a bit of advertising and celebrated herself for her greatness. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a channel that was playing a Trapeo, and honestly, it wasn't that important to me, and in the end, I preferred to follow my true destiny rather than get upset about this petulant little child. Delivering trophies. A short time before, I saw an Edmonto in the savannah and wanted to bring him this trophy. Well, I guess that's all over now. And so I set off again in the wind and weather to find a suitable candidate for my trophy. And finally, I spotted a young T-Rex on the horizon. Thank goodness, finally a trophy success. I warned them about the crocodile in the water, and got a ticket straight away. Nice! The best thing about it is that my warning didn't help at all. The little T-Rex was eaten. I wonder why he even wanted to cross if he didn't have a trophy. Full of frustration, I then switched to my city potty. I wanted to take this little Estamphian to the savannah too, so at least I know where everyone is. But on the way there, I spontaneously decided to build a nest. Looking back, the lack of water in this place is not the best reason to build here. So I made my way to the savannah and Tata. Here we are again. My hope that he just wanted to say hello was quickly dashed. And so, despite all my attempts, I was massacred. Unfortunately, I had the feeling I wouldn't hit the target at all. By the time I realized it was too late to escape, and apparently Aelios are now faster than Sidis again. Wonderful. That was a good way to find out. So my nest-building journey became my regrowth journey. Could think of better things to do, but the city potty doesn't take too long to grow back. So I made my way through without any further incidents, and that was that. So, how did you like it? How was the journey? Shall we travel together sometime? Check back next week.